Hey everyone, it's Nick from Nick's Crossing, and today I want to give you guys a small layout update. And I know I haven't posted one of these in a while, but it's Christmas time. It's been really busy around here between work and just other things going around the house and just going on trips. Yeah, just pretty much just been really busy. And then we were hit by that giant snowstorm yesterday. I think we had 8 to 10 inches of snow outside, and I was shoveling pretty much right after work and all that. And yesterday I took a break. My whole lunch break was pretty much shoveling to prepare for the extra snow accumulation. So it's been crazy. So yeah, I wanted to show you guys some of the new items I got for the layout and some of the new additions and some of the other things I've been doing. So really quick on the layout. Today, right after work, I ended up building this other side of the mountain here, doing the same type of just tearing of polystyrene or styrofoam. And I quickly painted it using, again, a spray paint, but I tried a different technique so it wouldn't melt as much. But it seemed to work out because the other side still has that, like I said before, it has like a dip right next to that billboard. So yeah, the paint actually came out really nice. I was surprised it didn't melt. I looked up some other techniques, how to do a spray paint with the polystyrene, and it seemed to work out really well. So yeah, this is going to be all dressed up with woodland scenics, all kinds of stuff. Like the other side here has like the foliage or whatnot. And yeah, I think I'm going to try to match it up the best I can. I actually like this side better. I feel like I perfected the method of just, stacking up the styrofoam. And I thought back to some of my past jobs. I actually used to be a stonemason. For a summer, I was an apprentice for a local stonemason and actually learned how to build rock walls. So that's probably why and how I got, the same technique, pretty much the stacking and blending them in. When I started doing the other side over here, I started using like a Sawzall or reciprocating saw, and it just made a mess. It created like all the snow all over the floor and all over the layout. And then I was looking at the track. It was just, I guess the static was just pulling everything in. So I just started manually cutting this by hand. It's just ripping and tearing it. It did not make a mess at all. I mean, I was able to vacuum all this up, and it looks really cool. So it's just a little bit different. I was going to like plaster over, but I think I'm going to refrain from that and just deal with the foam. I'm still on the hunt for like a portal, a tunnel portal that can go over both rails. I might end up making one out of wood with some like foam facade. I'm not really sure yet because like this side had the portal, and I ran one of my I think it was the SD24. I ran that on the track and the portal was taken out, which is why my portal's over here underneath this warehouse here. So just some things to think about. I know this side has a smaller gap, so I might be able to fit like a 3-rail portal there possibly, or maybe even like a 4-rail. So I'm still looking for a portal for this side, right where my dustbuster is. And this is probably like 4 or 5 tracks wide, if for the clearance and everything. So I'm still on the hunt. Like I said, I'll probably make one of my own. But anyways, other updates in the layout. So if you guys remember before, the platform was an MPC era, or like I think early 70s, like green, red platform, and it just wasn't vibing with me. I don't know, it's just something with it. It just didn't look right, especially with the MTH station here right behind my autoloader. The colors didn't really match up. It was kind of goofy. So I ended up picking this up this past weekend. This is a Lionel platform. It's all wired up with these awesome like vintage lights that are all milk glassed out or hazed. So it should have a really cool effect. This was very affordable. I actually got it at a train shop located in Hanover, and they're called Iron Horse Trains. And if you guys are local to there or have time, look up their website. They're awesome. I worked with the owner, Troy, for a while on this stuff, just putting stuff together and talking to him about trains. Awesome people, good prices, and he's also an MTH and Lionel dealer, so definitely check that out. He's got a bunch of new stuff too with Atlas, and he's got a bunch of MTH stuff that from all range models and everything. So giving him a shout out there. And I actually installed this signal. I think one of my videos I showed this working, and I just went with the push button over there. And I eventually want to do a video how to wire these up because they're pretty fun. I mean, just having a light change on the layout without using any type of, I guess, relay or block system like that is just really cool. And for people just getting into the hobby, this is like the easiest way to do it. Compared to that, I mean, you can use these little IR, crossing IR pieces, which I'm actually going to use for my crossing gates back there. So the plan right now is to actually put a road underneath my bridge here coming into town, and I took out the log loader that was here. And once all this mountain stuff dries and it's all dressed up, I'm going to move the warehouse back to my Pensy caboose where the milk station is, or the little structure there. I'm going to have the road come into town and probably come up to here. I have some buildings that I would like to put in. Right where this is either going to be a parking lot or some type of outbuilding, or put the parking lot over here. And I actually picked up during my Strasbourg journey some of these old cars, or they're not old, but they are period to what I'm going for here, 1950s, 40s, and 50s. And I actually picked up this Corvette from the Strasbourg train shop as well. And I think I have a Cadillac up here. It's a pink Cadillac, which is kind of cool. Both are like wind up, but they also have the doors that open. They said that they were scale and they were a great price. I think this is an Aston Martin. The steering wheel's on the left, so I thought that was kind of cool. And this opens up, so that'll look really cool in front of my filling station. That's all detailed. So I actually got all three of these from the Strasbourg train shop, as well as, I'll show you guys this. I also got this box of trees here. So I think there's, 14 trees, which is pretty cool. I'll probably need more, but I picked that up. And then while in Strasbourg at the awesome antique shops, I got this Lionel 1900 button. And let's see, because it was kind of like a birthday weekend trip, so I kind of went crazy. I got this awesome Santa Fe placard here. It's a remake, but it looks great. And I love the artwork, and it says Magna Traction, which is so cool. Just the subject matter, you can see it's like a newish backing. Moving on to some other stuff I got. For the birthday, I got this awesome water tower from Nikki. Can't wait to put it together. I kind of pieced it together. It goes within it's like 7 to 10 parts. It's just like the original Plasticville. And I have tons of Plasticville stuff. I hope to get that on the train board and have this probably up top because it's a little bit small. It's probably for like an S-gauge type layout, but if I put it further back on the layout, it should look just right. Look like it's further away, like a perspective. Recently I also picked up these bags of rock from Iron Horse Trains. These were $1. Just new old stock. They weren't actually used, and I thought that was an awesome price. Same with this bag of Woodland Scenic powder as well for $2. I mean, you can't beat that. So I also picked up this transformer here from Strasbourg, and this is a lifelike DC transformer that has the AC side here that I can use for running Lionel Accessories. And I think the output on this is, I think 16 volts AC, which is really cool. So I can operate single accessories or lights. I actually have LED lights. So I picked up these Eva model lights. These work off AC. They have the, I think it's called like the anode or the cathode with it. So you can run it with the full AC power off your transformer. And they glow, I think, the soft white. So that should be a lot of fun. And I'll have that all hooked up on the layout. So one final thing before I run some trains at a different location of the house today. I'd like to show you guys this bench that is now going to be the home to my transformers and my electronics. And it has a drawer right here. So the drawer is actually on the floor. It's filled with all kinds of stuff that I made when I was a kid, trying to take it all apart. So I'm actually going to mount all my electronics in here and have the transformers up top. I know there's a water bottle and the glue. I was using that today to mix up the glue for the mountain. But yeah, this is going to be my new control bench. And this is actually very near and dear to me. My father made this for me. I think I was I was probably 4 or 5 years old. His grandfather made him a bench very similar to this. And he copied it from spec to spec to the exact length and size of the other bench. And when I was a kid, we actually had that one next to this one. And I would sit at this as a kid working on trains or Pinewood Derby cars. That's why the paint, all this paint on here is probably from my Pinewood Derby days and all that stuff. So it was sitting in the basement at the parents' place. It even has some water damage from the basement flooded years ago. But yeah, I'm so glad to have this. It's going to save a lot of time and money building a new control bench. So, I mean, this thing's awesome. So I can't wait to get it all mounted up. Even has a pegboard bottom. I can run wires and stuff and harnesses through. But yeah, this is the temporary resting place of my controllers and such. So the final plan for this is actually to paint the legs on here, probably a dark blue, like a Lionel blue, and then the drawer side up here, paint that a nice Lionel orange, kind of like this Gatorade bottle top there. So this will kind of fit and match the room. I have a bunch of stuff I'd like to wire up. I actually found a ton of stuff while picking this up. It was filled with all kinds of stuff that I had wiring up my parents' O-gauge layout. And actually, the drawer here, you can actually see what's in it real quick. I actually have these face plates I'm going to use for switches. You can actually drill them out and put dip switches in and all kinds of stuff. I actually have my old vices here, which are great for pulling wheels and just model building. And I actually have a smaller vise right here. And this is not a toy. Well, I mean, it is a toy. It's just a big kid toy, but basically you can do a lot of model stuff with this. It's very fine adjusted. I'll pretty much just have this on the bench for whenever I need to do something really small, even like just holding something while you solder. It's a very useful tool. So this is also very interesting. I remember building this probably in middle school. It's a mess. So right here, I'll set her down for a second. Actually, I'll put her up here so you guys can see. On the front, I have these 4 switches here. And these are wired up to a semaphore system, kind of like what I have here. Right there, the gantry signal. So what these would do, you know, flip one up, it was green, flip one up, it was red. And as a kid, I would just sit there playing with them, you know, switching them back and forth. I wasn't familiar or didn't know how to wire up the weighted switches. So I did this as a kid to change the colors on the Plasticville semaphore light, and actually drilled out the little lenses. I put in these little PVC tubes for like model building, and then I put grain of wheat bulbs in, and then wired up with this. The red light here is just to show that this was on, which I thought was really cool. And as you can see, I disconnected some of the stuff here, but these are all just jumps going one other. So yeah, this is just the crazy stuff that I did as a kid. But anyways, I was going to show you guys some of my favorite Christmas trains, such as this GG1 and also my 158 Santa Fe Super Chief from Lionel. But unfortunately, I've had some issues with the track. It really needs to be clean, and then I also just painted all this, so I was going to hold off. So up top, I actually had this awful derail happen with this Williams turbine engine. I just haven't been back there yet. So these are 3 of my favorite engines in the collection, and they were actually all Christmas gifts. And I think I'm going to save them for a Christmas run day and maybe do like a live stream, which I haven't done yet. I had to wait and everything to do a live stream and figure out how to set it up, but I think that'd be a lot of fun on Christmas doing a live stream of the trains. So stay tuned for that. And also I plan to have a lot of this stuff cleaned up by then. Also have some repair stuff coming up, such as fixing this guy here, and also just a bunch of other things. And I'm trying to get this media card to work with the software on the Vivitar camera. So I might just save up and get a GoPro. And also in the next coming weeks, I plan to do a live steam run here. I actually dragged out two of my stationary steam engines. One's an American model and the other one's an English model called Mamad. And the other one I believe is a Benson steam engine. So we're gonna go downstairs and see the Christmas tree setup, and I'll show you guys some of the stuff that's going under there. All right guys, so here's the 2020 Christmas tree. And I'll turn on the lights in a few so you guys can see the trains I have under there. But on the tree this year I actually have the collection between Nikki and I's Christmas ornaments, and some of them are my parents and some of them are hers throughout the years. And some of them are given to us, but I'll show you guys some of my favorites. And there's actually a lot of Lionel Hallmark ornaments on here, as well as other Disney and kind of goofy Christmas ornaments as well. So to start, let's see if I can get this. You should have the Christmas Vacation family truckster with the Christmas tree on the back. And I think it used to play like the tuba song right after that whole thing with like Clark and the chainsaw, forgetting the chainsaw or whatever. That's a Lionel piece. Going further down, we actually have some Star Wars stuff. I have Darth Vader and his, I guess it would be a TIE fighter in a way. And you can see the silhouette inside there. It's super cool. And then next to him is his son Luke in his X-Wing. And the jets light up in the back. And then hiding in here is actually, where is it? There it is. It's Lionel Santa Fe Super Chief. And I actually have another one in here somewhere. It's hiding. And then down below here I actually have the American Freedom Train set from Lionel. This is also a Hallmark. Here's the engine. I'm not sure what engine this is, but it reminds me of like a, I guess it'd be like a millipede type style. Really cool little set. Actually says Freedom Train on that car there. And going around here, I actually have some of the stuff from when I was a kid. Like here's a Percy from what's that? Percy from Thomas and Friends, right there. See his face. So guys, right here I have a Lionel 726 and the fancy 12-wheel tender, which are super cool and really expensive. I really wish I had one of these tenders. They're just always super pricey at shows. But the 726 is a post-war model, or a post-war train modeled after a Berkshire, which is pretty much the same as the Polar Express. So it's like having a post-war Polar Express on the tree. And you guys will actually see my 726 under the tree, which I have to put back on the rails before we get started. Going around here, let's see. Actually, I have Mickey pulling Goofy back into a spaceship. He's trying to cook a hot dog on the jet, which is hilarious. Up here, we actually have the Hiawatha set. There's the end car there. The tender's right there. And I'll see if I can find the engine. I actually have two of the engines in this tree somewhere. I'll show you guys it. But it actually opens up and you can see what's inside the car, which I thought was really cool. Really nice touch. So going around the tree here, here's a New Haven F engine. I believe it's an F7, I want to say. I love that paint scheme on there. And there's the Hiawatha engine right there. Awesome looking engine with the tender and the passenger cars right there. The observation passenger car. You can see the chairs are in it and everything. Even has the bathrooms at the end. What else is here? Oh yeah, I have, so I can get it in shot here. The N&W J-Class. I forgot the number on this engine. It's listed on the tender, but it is a J-Class engine there. And the tender should be behind it somewhere. I think I have two of these as well in the tree. Or Christmas fuel tanker here. And I think that's pretty much it. Other than the, well, at least my favorite ornament on the tree. I've had it for a few years. There's actually two favorite ornaments I have to get to. And there's my Santa marionette inside the tree dancing. which is awesome. And this is my favorite of all time, if I can get to it. And this is the Lionelville Hallmark ornament that has running trains on it. And actually has a ZW transformer here that you can push.
Lionelville, all aboard.
It actually shows the blue comet right there going in reverse. I gotta switch the direction. So you push the remote in one direction and you can change the direction, which is hilarious. On the right side, I think that's a train master pulling some cars, and it's actually backing into a switch. So let's see if we can get that in frame. There it goes. It's really hard to see. They have some really cool accessories on here. They have the station, the water towers in back. They have the giant bridge there. And then on the back, which you'd think there'd be nothing on the back. Oh yeah, there's a signal man. They actually have the Lionel coal loader on the back, which is insane. So yeah, let's make it that better in frame for you guys. There we go. Oh yeah, all the way at the top is actually the power station, the old school pre-war power station. So, and they have the Grand Central Station, or the Grand Terminus right there in the middle, which is awesome. Any bulb on the tree that's Lionel related, like this guy here, actually has a pre-war engine. I think it's a 253, which is really cool, with the 2 passenger cars there. So I'm going to turn the lights on and show you guys the trains are going to be running underneath the tree. Alrighty guys, I've migrated to the floor, and it's kind of a tradition of mine to sit on the floor and run trains around the Christmas tree. So originally I wanted to power these 2 tracks using this CW80 from Lionel, and before I could even get one train moving, this thing actually blew out. So we heard like a puff sound, I heard like a click, so I'm like, okay, it's probably a fuse. So I went to look these up online, and they said that there's an inline, I believe it's an 8 amp fuse that runs off of, I think 120 to 250 volts, which is kind of weird. And they also have something called like maintenance-free screws underneath of here, inside each one of these little holes. So I'm gonna find a way inside this thing, and I'll do a video on it, because I'm sure you guys have these sitting around, or you've had one die. I mean, it's pretty common. The 2 CWs I had were around the same age, so it does not surprise me at all that they would die. But yeah, it's kind of a mystery box. Like I said, I've heard that there's an inline fuse in here covered with shrink. It's soldered to the circuit board, so there isn't like a replaceable part, which is kind of bogus, because they should have just put a circuit breaker on these like they do with the MTH Z1000 remotes that are basically have a remote control unit here, and then your power supply is a separate brick that is detachable. So if one or the other were to die or blow out, you're good to go. And then the power pack has an awesome circuit breaker. So I don't understand. I have seen a newer model of this. It looks like they did do the controller and then power pack separate, but that's not what I have here. And these are not cheap. I mean, you can get one of these, I think new, they run a little over 200 bucks, which is a lot of money for such a, small item, especially only being 80 watts. It's pretty steep. So I've actually upgraded here to a remote called the ZW, which is over here and humming. It's plugged in, it's ginormous, and this is classic Lionel right here. So this is the Lionel ZW transformer that can power up to, I want to say 4 trains at the same time. So let me turn up the brightness here. And she's been through it. I mean, it has some scarring here, but this thing will last way longer than me. Basically what you have here is a power supply right here. Then you also have another power supply here. And then you have another terminal down here, which is the same as the other side right here. And then you have an outer. So you can run 1 train, 2 trains, 3 trains, 4 trains. Or you can do 2 trains or 2 accessories or vice versa. And this thing is also, how many watts is this thing? 275 watts. So, I mean, you're kicking. The only downside to this, it only has a whistle feature. So if you want a bell, you can get like a controller and wire it up for a bell or whistle. So I'm actually going to get more of these. And this is an older, this is a, I want to say 50s model. So they actually have a modern one, I think it's from the 70s or 80s, that has a bell and whistle. So I'm definitely going to pick one of those up. Probably get maybe 4 of them, just in case I add more trains in the future. But the CW route is not, it's not going to cut it. This thing is going to be awesome. I recently picked this up. It was very affordable. It was a little over $100. Also forgot to add with this transformer, the green light means you're good, so there aren't any shorts. But when the red light cuts on, it actually activates a circuit breaker, and it's a slower circuit breaker. I have had some interesting things happen with these, but it does have an inline circuit breaker, so you're not going to fry this thing. You'll actually fry your wires before you'll fry this transformer. But anyways, on to the train I'll be running tonight, or trains. First, I'd like to start off with this awesome AA Santa Fe set from Williams, and it consists of the Atlantic East Coast passenger set I have that has the observation at the end, has the dome car, just the normal coach, and the baggage car. I'm not sure if the baggage car is supposed to have a light or not. I'll have to check into that, but it is not lit up the entire time running the set. So I'll look into that later. And on the inner loop here, I wanted to run some classic Lionel post-war cars with my number 726 over there. And the tender is actually a whistling tender. I'll bring it around so you guys can get a closer look. Let's see. Oh, and the signal man came out to say hi. All right. So I'll actually turn the power off for the accessory. So yeah, here's the Lionel 726. Bring the brightness up here. This engine was handed down, just the engine, not the tender. This is handed down through a relative that had this engine, and it was actually in a flood. I haven't done any major maintenance to this. It was all original. It works all right. I actually lock the E unit in forward most of the time because it can be a little sticky. I plan to actually repaint this. It has some things to it, like I can't really fix, like the corrosion here from the smoke pellets. And in the front, I'm actually going to push this back. I'll show you guys. You'll see it rolling around the track. You'll actually see the light leaking out from the headlight. And that's because this is loose. So you can actually pop this open. And I'm also missing my other lamp on the other side, so someone probably dropped it or crashed. Other cool features other than the smoke unit that sometimes works. The bell actually swivels here, so I think it's really cool. And I just like all the wheels on here. I think it's a 2.8. Let's see, 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it's a 2.84. So a lot of wheels there. It's a bigger engine. These 031s, it kind of eats them up. It's just hilarious. So this would look better on upstairs on like the 042. I always thought it was interesting the whistle was curved, but a lot of Lionel Berkshire engines also had this curved whistle. See, I'm going to start off running these two. I also would like to show you guys 2 of my pre-war engines that I used to run under the tree regularly, but I'm kind of worried leaving them out underneath the tree because of our cat. I don't want her to destroy them because one of my sets is almost 100 years old this year. I think it's in its early 90s, and it's actually hanging up on the wall right there. It's my 252 passenger set. the first pre-war set I've ever ran on this channel before. And I love these engines. This is my favorite pre-war engine. This is the 1688. I believe this is a 1940 model just because of the configuration. It's a 262. Compared to the earlier stuff, I believe it's a 242. And these are to mimic, for what I could find out, the Penske K4s when they became streamlined. So that would have been a K4S for at least the research I could find. And Lionel came out with this particular model, I believe, in 1940. I have every variation that I could at least find to get my hands on. This is the latest one. I have some from the mid to late 30s. And basically, the different variations, either the nameplate, this is very Art Deco looking, it's very blocky, 1688, Lionel. The other variations, basically the E unit, which is located here, your reverse unit, is located in different spots, or your wheel configuration is a 242. Other things, like there's a screw up here that releases the motor. Some variations have these screws here or on top on each side that releases the motor through like a plate. There's one that actually has a screw that goes through the entire side, and there's a I guess it's like a washer that holds both sides in. There's another one that the motor mounts up front and in the rear. You can actually see they could punch these out. See, like there's a punch there that could happen. There's also another one right here. That's for the different style motor. So it's very weird. I believe I have every variation. And like I said, there's E unit here, and there's like one between, and then there's the ones in the rear. I also have a very particular one. It says Lionel Jr. right on the nameplate. When you flip it over, it says Lionel Lines, but it says Lionel Jr. And also the wheels, the spokes on the wheels like aren't as ornate or stamped out. They're very basic. And then the other thing is these are all riveted in place. And then when you get to, let's see if I can get it. So these are all held on by screws. These are all tapped wheels, and you have to be very careful so you don't strip them out when you go to install them back. The Lionel Jr. actually has a rivet, so you cannot take these plates off. So when you have to service it, you have to pull the motor out and drop it, and then make sure the rails go back into the casting. So the 242 configurations actually do not have this other, I guess you call it a rod here. It actually goes into the casting, so they slide in and out like this, compared to this drops, and it's very mechanical, a little bit more modern. So I hope to do a video on all the variations I have. I have different colors, like they have the black gunmetal, they have a silver gunmetal, and then there's one in between, it's like a pepper. And I actually have one up at the nose. Someone actually, I don't know if Lionel did it or not, or someone ordered it or did it themselves. They actually put a Pennsylvania logo. It's actually all in white, so it looks very factory made. So I think now I have between 10 and 12 of these engines. I actually gave one to my father for his set as a token of gratitude for helping me out and everything. And the original story with this, first, I had one of these growing up. It was my great uncle's set. And one day we were running it on our platform, and this is many years, this is probably about 20 years ago. And our dog sat his nose right on the track, and it's about 3 feet off the ground. And this thing actually went shooting off the track and did a nosedive. The sad thing is the engine completely shattered. I mean, this material here is like a ceramic. They call it gunmetal. It cracks very easily, usually like here. Like these are always broken off. So I can get it shot better here. Like all these ladders and things, like this is usually broken. Usually find cracks up front or missing pieces underneath. These are usually cracked, these fins here. They're extremely fragile. They're great engines. They have a lot of weight to them, or at least these models do. The 242s are a little bit softer, but you're only pulling tin plate cars. So yeah, I ended up losing that set. And my father and I, after I'd say the past 15 years, were trying to find parts. And then that's when we finally realized about the E units being in different spots. Eventually, I found that someone painted a silver version of it. So what happened was I completely stripped it down to nothing, and I brought it back to a black paint. It became a gloss. I was actually experimenting with an airbrush, but it was already destroyed. I mean, someone spray painted the thing, I think, red and white, but they also did pinstriping on the wheels. So that model is actually upstairs. It's a gloss black, so not original, but it has all the original parts inside, minus the casting. That was the first one we had running after so long, and then after a while, it seemed like these started springing up all the time at train shows. So I ended up picking up, I would say, one from every train show for like the past 8 years after that. So I ended up with like 10 or 12 of these, on top of just finding them at like antique shops or underneath tables at train shows that need help. But yeah, I have a lot. It's a weird addiction. So the set we're running today, I actually have the E unit in the lock position. That's how I have the lights on. I mean, take a look at that. It's beautiful. But yeah, just really quick. Typical Lionel lines, tin plate tender, and these are all a set. These weren't inherited. These were actually bought at a show with a different 1688. And this is right before they went to the knuckle couplers. You can actually see they're the old school, like drop pins, so to say, or not exactly what you would call them, but it's right before that era of knuckle couplers. And you have the Sunoco tanker right there, the typical Baby Ruth, and I believe the caboose, yeah, is a New York Central brown color. The set that actually came with my great uncle set has a red caboose with pinstriping and riveting. It is gorgeous. It's a Lionel Lines. It has the old black plate back here. It says Lionel Lines. He's got a pristine Baby Ruth boxcar. This one has a lot of blemishing and rust spots. A different style Sunoco. It's actually a little bit brighter. And it had a whistling tender. So the funny thing is with those, they're extremely heavy, so the little 242 would have a lot of issues pulling it and pushing it across the tracks. And these engines will fly, so you gotta watch the speed. Alrighty guys, this is one of the oldest engines in my collection, and I've had this engine for a few years. It is pristine. I believe someone kind of did some reworking in it. It used to have like cloth wiring in it. I think they upgraded the wiring. It also has the reverse switch back here, not an E unit. I believe it's before Lionel bought out Ives Company to achieve the E unit patents and ideas. So this 252, I believe it's to replicate a New York Central set. And I have seen a modern model of this engine. And I forgot the name of the New York Central engine that this is mimicking or representing, but I believe what they used to do was after a steam engine would drop off their coaches to go to Grand Central, these engines would pick up the coaches and take them underground to Grand Central Station in the heart of New York City, because steam engines were not allowed. As you can see, there's a pantograph hookup right here. So these engines would pick up the coaches, shuttle them underneath the Grand Central Station because they weren't allowed to use steam. So this set came with the 252, the 529 coach, another 529 coach, and in the back we actually have the 530 observation car, all in the olive green, and I'm not sure what burgundy, I guess this is like a burgundy, or what shade of burgundy this is. Some people don't really like the coloring of these old sets, but I don't mind it. It's just a step back in time. And this set is almost 100 years old, and this is one of the oldest sets in the entire collection that I have. This set actually has a place in my living room on this shelf here with some other train memorabilia and another set of coaches there with the olive green and orange. And we're off. And the headlight is super bright. Wow. And this engine should go in reverse if you switch the toggle to the other position here. All right, let's see. Yep. So everything in here works. I believe we picked this set up a few years ago at a smaller train show. It was in a smaller town outside of Baltimore, and they had it just sitting there. And just to show you guys, I mean, these engines are beautifully made on the inside. I mean, look at this. It's got the original plate right there. See if it'll autofocus. There you go, Lionel Corporation. So, yeah, I mean, it's all brass in there. The wheels are actually beautifully spoked. And I actually have, I believe, one model of this engine. I actually have 3 of these. And the wheels are flat, they're not spoked. So it's just a different variation. I have replaced the wheels in some of these. I believe these are newer wheels. And the interesting thing that happens with these, either if you drop them, you know, placing them down too hard like this, or, you know, a derailment, the wheels tend to shatter, especially the spokes. I mean, they're very fragile. You can actually see some wheel wear right there. So the other thing that I tend to find with these engines is that the wheels will flake, like they spread apart. And I have a theory behind that. I believe it's just from moisture, and then when you run the train, or the lack of running, just the 2 different metals, because you can see there's a, I guess this is like a steel here, and then this might be like a nickel or so. And the metals react differently with moisture, and the wheels expand. And just that reaction just makes the wheels flake into nothing, just from corrosion. And you can see there's some new wiring in there. Not a problem. But this engine's great. Alrighty guys, I'd like to thank you for joining me in this video. And I did see I have some new subscribers, and I'd love to welcome you guys to my channel. And I hope to post more videos in the future of similar run days. We have about a week until Christmas now, and also do more layout updates over this long winter season. But I hope you guys are staying safe out there, and if you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel, write a comment. Maybe if you guys had these engines growing up, young or old, doesn't matter. We're all We're all in the hobby together. It's all about learning and sharing our experiences. Thank you guys for joining me here, and I hope to see you guys in future videos. Thanks.